Community Development, Design Services for the former Courthouse and Fire Station in Dizdar Park. Staff report on that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Kildee. We'll have a presentation by Bob Burrow with Charles Abbott and Associates.
Yes, good afternoon,
Welcome.
Your Honor, members of the City Council. The next item before you is a proposed amendment to the contract with David Goodall Architect Planners, basically to add into the design process that's currently underway for the courthouse property to also include the Dizdar Park and the former fire station property. As you're aware, the city previously, acting as the Camarillo Community Development Commission, acquired the fire station, the Dizdar Park, the former courthouse property, as well as other properties as part of the Camarillo Corridor project. And extensive work has been done on all the various former redevelopment sites to move them forward as part of the vision for the city. Last year, the city did enter into an agreement with David Goodall to commence the site planning and design concept phase for the former courthouse property. This has included extensive public outreach to various groups and to solicit and receive input during the first workshop that has already been held for that, and it was a good turnout for that. With regard to the Dizdar Park and the former fire station, the city and the former redevelopment agency have been working on possible reuse opportunities for the former fire station, as well as having developed earlier concept drawings for Dizdar Park to rehab and refurbish that property. Since the discussions, the negotiation process have terminated with regard to the former fire station for that, the direction of the city was to, well, let's take a look at incorporating both the park and the fire station into one overall design project. And before you this evening is a proposal to amend the contract that the city currently has with David Goodall to incorporate these properties as well. That way, the public workshop programming can be done. There'd be a new workshop held solely on the Dizdar Park and former fire station property, and then after that, then it would be merged into the development of the concept plans for the courthouse property and for these. That way, the design that can be, the design alternatives that can be come up with would complement each other, not duplicate, and develop these two sites, this one and the former courthouse, into assets for the community, particularly the Old Town area. In your packet, you have a draft amendment to the prior agreement, along with an updated work program for David Goodall as part of the process for working on these design alternatives. The current agreement with David Goodall excuse me, architecture planning was authorized for $61,000, and this would add $49,000 to a not-to-exceed budget amount for the design alternative planning process of $110,000. And as noted in your staff report, it is recommended that you authorize the city manager to approve this first amendment to the contract for additional architectural design services. David Goodall is here this evening in case you have any questions of him or staff or myself.
Okay, we'll ask some questions at this point. Mr. Tremblay.
Just a couple of process questions. So I'm on page 10 of our staff materials, just in terms of the combined schedule, Mr. Burrows. And I just want to make sure that these items are clarified for me. So what would happen if we go ahead and approve this agreement is that the first thing that would happen would be a meeting with staff relative to Dizdar, but then a community workshop on Dizdar prior to the ideas on Dizdar and the old courthouse property coming back to the council for a study session, correct?
Yes.
We're tentatively targeting May 20th for the first workshop with the community to, again, similar to the process that was done for the courthouse, where information passed, concepts, and reviewing and soliciting input and ideas from the community.
Okay, and then May 20 for that community workshop.
Correct.
On Dizdar, and then there would be some sort of meeting with Pleasant Valley School District relative to the old?
So we anticipate having the community workshop solely on Dizdar May 20th.
Right.
Then after that, we anticipate a study session before the city council that we most likely will have in the council chambers because we anticipate significant public participation, where we will provide the city council with an update on the outcome and input we received at both workshops. The prior workshop we held in January on the former courthouse, and then now the anticipated workshop on Dizdar, and we'll provide an update on the input received to the city council, hopefully in June.
Okay, and then after that, or subsequent to that, would be a meeting with Pleasant Valley School District relative to the grass area and back of the
Yes.
back of the old courthouse property.
Correct.
Continued dialogue would occur on that because that's their property, and one of the alternatives would be using that as with ideas that have come up from the community.
And then after some further preparation time, then we would go to a second round of workshops, and in that second round of the community workshop, that would combine all the properties together.
Yes, that's correct.
And thereafter, come back to the council after that workshop is done, so the council's decision is informed by the input at that second cycle of community work.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I'm clear. Thank you.
And then even after that, then we would ultimately create concepts that would go to the planning commission at a public meeting where we could still receive input. And then it would conclude with an additional city council meeting where we could still have public's input.
Yeah, thanks for finishing that up. Okay.
Any other questions? Ms. Santangelo, do you have any questions? Okay.
I'm wondering, anybody can answer this, why we would do another workshop just on Dizdar. I have trouble envisioning what I want there or see there without including the other one. So was there a thought process, or what was
Yes.
your thought process?
So we already held one community workshop that was solely on the courthouse property, and we didn't obtain any community input on Dizdar. So the purpose of the May 20th workshop would be to outline generally what we've done at the courthouse in a very brief summary, but then to try to outline what we would anticipate as potential opportunities at Dizdar, and then receive public input on what they feel would be appropriate there.
Anybody who participated in the first workshop as a community member would be invited to the Dizdar one, and there would be summary information provided about the courthouse process as well. So we want to then catch that one up and then merge them into the entire process.
Yeah, Mr. Tremblay?
But even if anybody would be invited to that, even if they didn't go to the first
That's correct.
courthouse.
Yes, anybody could participate.
Mr. Mulchay?
I can't recall, but at these workshops, are we taking people's information, their emails, that way we may stay in touch with them and inform them of further workshops?
Yes, we are. We're maintaining a database that then we include them on an interest list. So then anytime we do any public outreach, we will disseminate that to everyone on the interest list.
Okay, thank you.
And then some,
Right.
articles in the Acorn, advertisements in the Acorn, on your website, and mail out, I think, like 600 notices sent out the last time, and also email blast and such.
Actually, I have one follow-up question. In regards to that, in regards to outreach, are we reaching out to specific community groups or groups that are directly impacted, i.e. Merchants, and or directly to the neighborhoods adjacent to both
Yes,
of these
we are.
respective
So
properties?
we are sending out notifications to, I think it's over 1,000 actually, but all people like within a very broad radius of the Old Town area, including property owners and potential property tenants, which include commercial and residential properties.
So both the people who
we've
own the
also-
land and the tenants in the
Correct. And then
property,
we've
okay.
also reached out specifically to the Chamber, Old Town Association, and other interest groups such as Sci Arts, and we've had breakout meetings with them one-on-one as well.
Perfect.
And we'll continue to do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Comment.
I have just one question. What is our intent with Dizdar Park? In other words, is there any scoping that we're going to do? I'm just saying because we've had several discussions and starts and
Yes.
non-starters.
So that's what this public workshop's intended to do, is to try to formulate opportunity items that are going to be presented to the public, and then we anticipate receiving input from the public on what the desired improvements to Dizdar Park will be. We have a couple ideas. So, for instance, the council has already indicated that it'd be appropriate to include the bandstand as a potential item for improving that site. So we have a general framework, but we're going to open it up to the community to receive input to see what ideas exist out there.
Very good. Ms. Craven, comment?
Yeah, I think it's, what I'm going to say does not directly involve the contract, but I think it's better that I let the council know how I feel about all of this. And I think it's better that I do it sooner than later, and this is the first opportunity I've had since I rethought this whole thing. So last year, the idea came up to turn the former courthouse into a park, and I think all the council at that time and the new council members after they were installed were swept up with the idea, and then the idea grew exponentially after it was first presented. And within months, we had this contract to develop the park, or to this contract that we're talking about. After a lot of thought, I've decided that's really not the best thing for us to be doing. The city of Camarillo is not in the recreation business. We do not receive that portion of the property tax that goes for recreation and parks. We do not have a recreation department. We don't have employees who administer, organize, or teach recreation. We do have 2 parks that have no organized recreation, and I don't think we should expand. There is a recreation and park special district that's in the recreation business in Camarillo. It receives the portion of the property tax for recreation and parks. It has its own elected board, and its boundaries are larger than the city's. That is their specialty, and they do a good job for the people of this area. I think that by developing the former courthouse into a park, we'll be getting out of what we as a city do best, and we're going to start getting into what the Recreation and Park District does very well. We have Constitution Park, which was bought a long time ago, and the same property was bought to build City Hall, and the intent was to put, at that time, was to put a police station there, but that didn't happen. We also bought Dizdar Park, and I think we should go ahead and expand it, as we've talked about for years. I'm also in favor of passing along the money we've said we'd give to the senior center part of the new community center building that the Pleasant Valley and Recreation and Park District is most likely going to build. However, I do not think that we should develop the old courthouse property into a park. I don't think we should expand that into the school district area, because I think that's only going to get a lot more expense for us that we are not in the business of doing. We're a contract city. We're not a full-service city. And getting into this recreation business would be nothing but mission creep. That's my thoughts.
Okay, so those are thoughts. However, the task at hand right now is, with the design of whatever potentially that we could have there.
I just felt I needed to get my thoughts out on this whole park thing.
And I appreciate that. Yeah. Ms. Santangelo?
Maybe I've missed something, but I don't think we've necessarily decided that it's going to be a park. When I was at the workshop, there were discussions about various uses for it, parking and other.
That's fine. I just wanted to get this is about parks. I just wanted to get my feelings out.
Okay. So are there any other comments or anything at this point?
Seeing that we're airing some of our concerns or opinions, I share a little bit of Charlotte's concerns. I agree that we're not a park district and we're not in the park business, and it's definitely a concern that I have as well. To the extent in which there is park facilities or a park incorporated in either one of these 2 existing lots, I would be open to exploring some sort of greater relationship and or operating arrangement with the park district, so that way they could potentially program that space, because I don't think that's something we should be getting into. I don't think that's our forte. So to that extent, I think there's some other opportunity there in the event that we we go towards a park. In regards to the courthouse, I think there's a lot more opportunity than just simply a park there. And I think that's probably underestimating its potential benefit and the good that it could do, not just for Camarillo, but particularly for Old Town and the merchants that whose livelihood relies on Old Town and the draw that we can bring there.
Maybe you can refresh my memory. Were your comments on Dizdar Park or the old courthouse? Which one? What were the comments that you were making as far as the park goes?
In regards to getting into the park
Get in
business?
The park business.
I'm just saying if we want to reconceptualize what Dizdar Park, and it's probably more aimed at Dizdar Park, because I think Dizdar Park, for the most part, should probably remain a park. And I think it'd be definitely enhanced, depending on what amenities are included there. I think depending on what people bring to the council and bring to these workshops and what eventually becomes conceptualized there, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. It makes assumptions as to what should necessarily be there. But depending on what there is, I think there would be opportunities to work with the park district.
I know what you're getting at, Counselor. I know you don't want to jump in and say we're getting too much discussion. But anyhow.
Oh, no, that wasn't where I was going to go.
Okay.
But now that you mention that,
This is on the agenda,
what I was going to say, and I still will, is that you need to understand that the city acquired the courthouse property through the dissolution process of redevelopment and through the long-range property management plan, and that the designated use of that property is for government use. So when you're all thinking about what it is you want there, then you need to keep in mind that it would have to be a government use as opposed to a non-government use.
Okay. Are there any other comments or discussion on this? Okay. What's the will of the council?
With that, I will make a motion to approve the item because I do support expanding Dizdar Park.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote. That passes unanimously. So with that, we are going to recess now.